Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome to a new segment here on the Geek Dhaba that we like to call Does It Hold Up? Where we determine whether a series or a movie stands the test of time or is a relic of the past. Now, before we get into it, I think it's time that we open the Dhaba. The Looneytunes. Who hasn't heard of or seen them before? They're a household name going back over decades. Everywhere, all over the world, there are people who have been exposed to the franchise in one way or another. That being said, the early 2000s was a weird time. It was the time where the superhero genre was just finding its footing and also making a lot of money in that process. So, what happens when you have a vastly popular genre in television and movies with an incredibly popular IP? You get Loonatics Unleashed. Loonatics was a bizarre concept and an attempt by Warner Brothers and the CW, yes, that CW, to bring a superhero spin on the beloved characters and to, well, profit on the whole thing. The show was released around 2005, around the same year as Batman Begins and Fantastic Four, so there was some superhero hype around it. It also helps that Looney Tunes Back in Action came out that same year, so there was some Looney Tunes hype there as well. Does the concept do the show justice? I guess we'll find out. Taking place in the distant future, a meteorite strikes Earth and causes six seemingly random people to get superpowers. This includes a stunt double named Ace, a cheerleader named Lexi, a pool boy named Duck, a university student named Tech, a wrestler named Slam, and a delivery boy named Rev. Now, when I said that these were seemingly random, I lied. It's pretty clear these were meant to be stand-ins for famous Looney Tunes properties, and the show doesn't even do a good job of hiding it.
So, who ordered the Acme Heroes?
Oh, I knew his great-great-great-grandfather.
Most of the show deals with a typical Saturday morning cartoon formula, with a different villain each week, some comedy thrown in, and the heroes getting to be heroes. But that being said, watching the show again with a more modern lens, I realized that there are some things that need to be looked into when we talk about the show. The characters are bland. It's pretty clear that these were just cookie cutter personalities made to fit a team dynamic. Ace is the leader, Rev Runner is a bit quirky, and so on and so forth. The one that would be the least effort put into the character would have to be Lexi, because her personality is just that she's a girl, pink and all. Now, you can argue that this was just like an early 2000s thing, but that's a conversation for another video. But we'll ignore this for now and move on and just leave it at these characters are bland and one-dimensional, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Another issue with the show is the dubbing. It's just odd. Like, look at it here.
What's that? You bought a new cottontail?
No, it's a fuzzy. Oh, come on. Biopets are only the coolest trend to ever hit Acmetropolis.
The words and the lip movements are awkward, and more than half the time, it just really doesn't make sense. It really leaves you to wonder if this is even animated by an American team, except for the fact that it was animated by an American team and dubbed by American audiences for American audiences. So there's really no excuse to have this kind of dubbing issues. It's not really a big issue, but during my entire watch of this series, I found it pretty distracting, and it really ruined the whole experience of watching the show for me. Now, the major thing. The thing I want to talk about the most, the animation. Now, by modern standards, the animation is not the best. It's still okay, but it's not as good as it should be. But it's surprisingly slow and feels kind of choppy in a lot of places. It's almost as if it's trying to emulate a more close to life movement. And in animation, we kind of look for more fast paced movements. And slow paced animation doesn't usually work. And the example of that is like the Eight Crazy Nights movie. Now, before anybody comes up and says to me, oh, it's 2005, you cut it some slack, it's just 2005 animation, etc. Fine, that seems that's a fair excuse, except for the fact that Disney released American Dragon Jake Long in 2005, Nickelodeon released Avatar The Last Airbender that same year, and Cartoon Network itself released Ben 10 that same year as well. Heck, years before this, we got Justice League, one of the best animated series that we have on Nickelodeon at that time. In retrospect, there shouldn't really be any excuse to have animation that looks like this in 2005 when you have other great shows coming out with great, fantastic animation at that same time. Now, it's clear that I'm not the only one who felt this way about the show, as the show only had 26 episodes across 2 seasons and over 2 years before it was cancelled. Not only that, it led to the Looneytunes franchise going on a long hiatus for quite some time before their newest project came out. It really has to say a lot about a show when the show delays the franchise by a few years. Ultimately, does this show hold up? No. It's choppy, it's a trend chase, and it didn't really have any heart put into the show. But it has some potential. It had potential to be great. Not that it actually utilized any of that potential. I wouldn't recommend this show to anyone, and over here at the Geek Dhaba, we say that this show does not hold up. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with what we had to say? Do you guys have any other opinions? Any other shows you want us to tackle? Let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to give us a like, follow, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'll see you all later. It's time for me to close the top.